We can start.
Okay.
All right. Welcome, everybody. So glad you could join us. My name is Elizabeth Barnett, and I'm the Associate Director at the National Center for Restructuring Education, Schools, and Teaching at Teachers College at Columbia University. And I'm joined by...
Hello, my name is Marjorie Coble. I'm an assistant principal at Bassick High School in the city of Bridgeport, Connecticut. Hi.
So we're going to jump into our webinar, but before we do, first of all, we wanted to ask everybody if you could please put your phone on mute or your system on mute if you're not talking, just to keep the background noise down. If you do want to ask questions at any point, though, please feel free to get off of mute. The other thing you can do is you can type in questions. There's a chat box at the bottom. And, we're happy. This is an informal group, and we're happy to answer questions or dialogue with you at any point. The other thing I wanted to mention is that this webinar is being recorded. So just want to keep you informed on that, and it will be posted on the COP, on the community practice that I think everybody has access to. So we're going to go ahead with today's webinar, which is on CTE and STEM career pathways in middle and early college high schools. And I'm really interested in this topic. I started my work as a researcher doing projects related to career technical education and dual enrollment, and have been really interested in that area ever since. And right now I'm involved with a number of middle and early college projects, and we'll be talking about some of them as part of this presentation. So we're going to talk about STEM and CTE pathways and reasons for creating pathways, how they can help students who are going through middle and early colleges. We're going to share a few tools and ways of thinking about how to create strong STEM and CTE programs. And then you're going to have a special opportunity to hear about a couple of pathways that have been created at Bassick High School, and I think you'll find that interesting. So what is career technical education? Career technical education has traditionally been thought of as voc ed and limiting students' options for students who might not be expected to go to college. Sometimes it's been associated with tracking and students being limited early on to only certain kinds of possibilities. For quite a long time, though, there have been a group of people who've been saying that it's not an either-or kind of proposition, that career technical education is a college pathway. And in fact, in most cases, if you're going to be successful, you're going to need to have some post-secondary education in addition, as you prepare for careers. And not only that even once you're in a career, you may want to go back and do further studies, engage in further studies. So you may have kind of a career ladder opportunity where you take some more coursework and get to the next level. And, the argument is that this is not limiting options, it's opening up options. So STEM education, I think, there are a lot of definitions out there, but one that I like especially is this one that you'll see in blue on this box. So STEM is in STEM, science and math serve as bookends for technology and engineering. Science and math are critical to a basic understanding of the universe, while engineering and technology are means for people to interact with the universe. So it's kind of bringing together those career areas with some of the basic kind of general education areas, so science and math. And so these two areas are different, but they also kind of overlap. So why focus on these areas? Well, there are some really important reasons to make sure that students get a chance to think about CTE and STEM. One is that everybody is going to eventually have a career, and education can help them to be successful along the way, along with other goals. But why not start thinking about it early and start thinking about where you want to go in your life and start preparing? And specifically, these areas can help students to try out different career paths and life options so that they are not just kind of picking something at random or saying that they want to be one of the things that they've always heard of. I want to be a lawyer, or I want to be a, nurse. They get exposure to different options. And there's some good research saying that CTE dual enrollment can be especially effective for low-income students and for males as a way to keep them engaged in high school and make it more likely that they'll matriculate to college and be successful once they're there. And there's also good research saying that a lot of times students who are in CTE and STEM education get inspiration out of being in an area that's practical and has real meaning to them. So this is just a slide I liked that I thought I'd include. It comes from another project that I worked on years ago on the College and Career Transition Initiative. And, mainly pointing out that when students do drop out, the number one reason they get for it is boring classes. So CTE and STEM classes, especially those that are connected to careers that they're interested in, can make education more relevant and interesting. So what counts as CTE? At NCREST, we've been doing analyses of students' college and high school transcripts for quite a long time, and we generally like to give schools information on what types of classes their students are taking. And we took this list of career technical education classes from the U.S. federal government. It's a typology that they've got. So you can see it's really a range of different fields that lead to careers. So looking at one of the analyses we did was for the Middle College National Consortium, and this is looking at 46,000 different dual enrollment courses for students that were in their schools about 3 years ago. And you can see the areas, this is the percent of enrollments in each different subject area. And you can see that, the majority of enrollments were in general education, not in career technical education, but there are quite a few that were in CTE areas. And this is the same chart, but looking at which ones were in STEM. So you can see that this includes the math and the science courses. But the career technical courses that overlap with STEM are basically computers, engineering, and health professions. So you can see there were quite a lot of enrollments happening here. The college course students are taking while they're still in high school. So there's individual college courses that are great, and they can give students exposure to a certain career area. But there's also a lot of value in putting together an actual pathway where students can visualize where they're going, begin in a pathway while they're in high school, and then continue on it into college with a real goal in mind. So a career pathway is a sequence of CTE and academic courses spanning K-12 and higher ed, involving rigorous coursework and also student supports, so that we're not putting students into college courses without them having the support they need to be successful, but leading to high-quality education and employment options. So that's a career pathway, and that's where we're going to focus more during this session. And some specific ideas that I'm going to talk about a little bit are on this slide. So I just want to talk a little bit more about course sequences and what those can actually look like, and show you a tool. What we mean by stackable credentials, integrating career education and academics, which is sometimes called contextual learning, and a little bit about workplace learning. I'm actually not going to go into student support too much here, just to not keep the time, kind of keep our use of time in check. So this is, I referenced that project, the College and Career Transitions Initiative. They came up with this pathway document that I like a lot, that's intended to be used to set up a whole program of study, a whole sequence that starts in secondary education and goes into 2 years worth of college. And it includes the required courses, electives, the CTE courses, the college courses, and also mandatory, the main assessments that guide things. And the whole thing is focusing on making sure students have their rigorous academics, have an exposure to a specific career area and a beginning in a career area, opportunities for enrolling in college courses while they're still in high school, and getting the assessments they need that keep them on track and keep everybody informed on whether they're moving in the direction of being college and career ready. So here's an example that was done by a community college in Maryland. This is Anne Arundel Community College, and this was actually developed quite a long time ago, and is one they developed for a pathway in teacher training. And this particular example doesn't actually have a lot of dual enrollment in it. In this particular group of schools and colleges, they decided to emphasize AP a little bit more. So you'll see that the 12th grade classes, there are more AP classes. The pink classes are the ones in pink are the college courses. So you'll see they just have one college course during the high school years, but most early and middle colleges are offering a lot more of those than what's here. But you can see then that it shows the students, the parents, everybody, what the whole sequence of courses that they would need to take to complete and a degree in in teacher preparation that could then lead into a career, as a teacher if they were to continue at a four-year college. So this is the kind of tool that can be really useful when you're creating a pathway, and it's one that some of the schools that we're working with in Michigan through the STEM Early College Expansion Project are using this tool. Another idea that's really important in pathways is stackable credentials, and this is a graphic that comes from the National Association of Manufacturers. The idea here is that you're earning some credentials along the way that may be useful and may help to allow you to start working in an area even before you finish the credential that you're ultimately aiming for. So you've got these kind of academic competencies and workplace competencies that are at the foundation, and there may not be specific credentials associated with them, but perhaps while still in high school, or perhaps in the first year of college, you're earning an initial credential. In this case, they're talking about maybe like a supply chain logistics credential. I believe Marjorie's going to talk about the way that they offer some of these opportunities in the basic pathways. Then as you go up the ladder, there are more specific kinds of higher level credentials, and ultimately a degree opportunity. You might eventually move beyond those into some management, get a bachelor's degree in some area of manufacturing. So that's kind of the idea of stacked credentials. Before I go any further on this, let me just stop for a minute. Are there any questions or comments? Well, let me move along, but do feel free to chime in if you'd like to. So integrated contextual learning, a lot of times career technical education courses are separate from the general education or the academic courses, but there's been some good work done in actually integrating them together, where you'd have a course in a career area, say carpentry, where you'd integrate math skills, and those math skills would be meeting some of the standards that you might need for, a math to complete a math course in high school or in college. And that's something that's actually been part of the federal career technical education legislation, the Perkins legislation. It's encouraged integration of rigorous and challenging academic and career and technical education in post-secondary or career pathways. So that can make can make math, it can make literacy more interesting and relevant for students, and they're also developing, you know, specific math skills and specific vocabulary and writing habits that work well in their area of study. So this is a sample project that worked with the National Center for Research on CTE. And it's just showing you how there could be a course unit in a specific area, say safety, that would incorporate not only, you know, shop safety and tool usage and that kind of thing, but math concepts like statistics related to accidents in industry or, you know, practice reading flow charts that are used in and then it shows you that these were actually lined up with some of both the middle school and the high school math standards that were being used. So, you know, some pretty good work has gone on around these kinds of ideas around the country. So if you're ever interested in looking into that further, I want to just kind of check out what's available online. So another area I wanted to talk about just a little bit is workplace learning, and, you know, where students actually get to not only work on labs in classrooms or in, that might be a high school lab or a college lab, but they're actually getting out into real workplaces. And that can be a very powerful experience and keep students really connected to both their education and kind of form a connection to their future career. So this slide comes from NAF, which used to be the National Academies Foundation, now they're NAF. And they have this really sophisticated model, in my opinion, that takes students through different stages of workplace learning. So at the beginning, under what they're calling awareness, you know, it may not be actually in the workplace, but they may have guest speakers come in, or they might go out for a tour in a workplace, or, you know, maybe have a mentor from a business that's spending some time, you know, helping certain students or certain classes. But then they move up to the next level, which is more exploration, and they might do a job shadow in a workplace or a mock interview. And then, you know, toward the later years, by the 12th grade, if you're in NAF, you know, they'll actually have a paid internship many times, but there are also opportunities to do, say, school-based enterprises where the business partner is involved. So I really like the way they've staged so that students are getting more profound experiences each, you know, over time. It could be divided up in different ways across the grades. The other example that I really like that I ran across a few years ago was with the Cristo Rey schools. And what they do, now this is probably more complicated than many schools can do, but it's just an interesting approach. They have their 12th graders actually participate in jobs with their business partners, but they're in school 4 days a week and then in the job 1 day a week. So basically what's happening is one job is split among 5 students, each of whom is going to the workplace 1 day a week. And so they're getting this real-life experience. The workplace has, you know, an additional worker and somebody who might be a good candidate for future work with that industry. And, you know, there are all sorts of benefits that from that kind of a relationship. So before I go any further, or before we pass it over to Marjorie, are there any questions or comments on anything I talked about here? Well, let's go ahead and hear about what Basic High School has been doing.
So, Margie, you have to unmute yourself. Marjorie? Just give us 1 minute, everyone. Yeah, just give us a few minutes. Marjorie needed to call back in. Thank you. In the meantime, if anyone had any other questions for Elizabeth. Elizabeth, I have one question. How many of these pathways exist in some of the Michigan schools?
Well, each of the schools that are participating in the STEM Early College Expansion Project has at least one pathway, and some of them have more than one. And what we're seeing is that once you've done one, it gets to be easier to do other ones, because a lot of times for the first one, the school and the college are kind of working together and figuring out how to, how their courses align, what the best way is to actually kind of lay out a pathway. There are all sorts of questions about scheduling. A lot of times they have to make sure that, they've figured out, how to fund the college courses that students are going to be taking. So there are a whole series of topics that have to be dealt with on the first one.
I'm on. Excuse me, Elizabeth, can everyone hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, I don't know what happened. I was on before. Okay, I'm sorry for the technical problems. But again, this is Marjorie Coble. And I just started out by saying, over the past 2 academic years, Bassick High School has been fortunate enough to be afforded the opportunity to do 2 dual enrollment programs. The one I'm going to start out with is an advanced manufacturing program. We work with Housatonic Community College, which is located in the city of Bridgeport. And this is our 2nd academic year, so we have 2 cohorts there. The first cohort is seniors now. They started out as juniors. We started with 10. Unfortunately, because of various reasons, we're down with that cohort. We're at 5. An additional cohort we started with juniors. And so at this present time, we have about 17 students in that program. So just to give you a little bit about Housatonic, it is a community college, and I gave some information about the enrollment, just to give you a kind of perspective on how many students are on campus on a given day when our students go. Our students go every single day, 5 days a week. They attend school with us, periods 1 through 4. And then for the remainder of the day, from 12:15 until 2:30, they're at the campus of Housatonic. Our students interface with college students. They have separate classrooms. The high school students have separate classrooms. But when they go into the lab, it is not unusual for them to be in a lab with adult students taking the same classes. So you see here it talks about our enrollment where we started. And retention was a little bit challenging for our first cohort, and you see the various reasons why we did end up losing 5 of those students. With our new cohort, you see, again, and we'll talk a little bit about that at the end, about some of the challenges we have with retention, and some of the things I'm working with guidance and with the college to maybe, alleviate some of these things, because it's very important, and we want the students that are starting to be able to finish the program. The way we started for the academic year 2015-16, where we were afforded the opportunity. I did a little brochure. I sent things out to their homes. And we also asked the guidance counselors and the administrator of the grade and teachers to give us referrals, because these were our 10th grade, our rising 11th graders. So from that, we had about 15, 20 students that were interested. They went to the campus. They were able to take a tour of the campus and just see if that's something that they wanted. You know, because sometimes people jump on because it's something new, but we really want to know where they're going to have a vested interest in this experience. And what I wanted to do with parents to get them kind of on board with us, I wanted to highlight that it would be dual enrollment. They'd get credits for high school and college at the same time, that it was a career pathway, and on what it was about. And most people don't know what manufacturing is about, which is why we invited them to the campus over the summer, before school started. So what happened is, Housatonic, this was a big initiative. And if you've been paying attention to the news, advanced manufacturing is exploding. As a matter of fact, I saw in the national news in Massachusetts, an advanced manufacturing up there is having field trips for students as young as 4th grade because the need is so great. And so Housatonic was the college that was chosen to initiate the advanced manufacturing in 2012. And this slide just basically talks about where they can go with it. And in Connecticut, we do have, at the Groton submarine base, we have Sikorsky, we have Pratt & Whitney. We have a lot of factories in our state, which really shows a great demand. Over a year ago, there was over 2,000 jobs they were looking for in our county alone, in Fairfield County, for people with this type of training. What you see over here are my students. They actually got to go to Sikorsky, had to get federal clearance to even go there because they have a lot of federal contracts. But they were able to go there and see what potential jobs look like should they continue this pathway. And as Elizabeth said too, if you have any questions, just feel free to just jump in. So what we did when we partnered with Housatonic, there's a lot of legwork, a lot of background work that is needed before we, bring things to fruition. We had to coordinate transportation, and funding has been challenging sometimes, but we've been able to manage it. So we actually transport the students there. And to create a more sense of independence, what we do is we do not bring them back to school because they end their day there at 2:30. They're given monthly bus passes, and then they just go home, or if they have a sports or after-school activity, they come back to the campus. While they've been there, and again, remember we have a cohort that's in their 2nd year. They'll be my graduating seniors this June. They lose 3 classes. So in other words, they supplant 3 classes. Periods 5, 6, and 7. When they will normally be with me at this school, they're over at the campus. That is potentially 30 points that they should earn. So when they're over at Housatonic, earning their college credits, they are also, the dual enrollment part is, they are also earning their 30 points here. I'll show you later how we match the points, how we did a correlation. When they finish the certification program, they will have 18 credits towards the certification in advanced manufacturing. Advanced manufacturing goes, there's a certificate program with 34 credits. Then there's Associates of Science, which is an additional 60 points. Should they decide to go elsewhere in other areas, you'll see on another slide, it is diverse. They can go through multiple types of engineering. They can go actually into tool and die. So many things they can do with their certification, or if they go for the Associates of Science. So as you see here, we talk about some of the salary ranges was incentive for a lot of students when they saw that, because they begin to realize even if they don't go post-community college, with an AS, these are the average range they can earn with an associate's. And when they were saying like, wow, at 21 I can earn that, that really was something for the students, because we'll talk a little bit later about the demographics of my students. They can also, there is a particular BS degree in manufacturing that they can go to. They can transfer those credits. They can matriculate to Central Connecticut State University for a bachelor's degree and advanced manufacturing. But they can also spin off and go into automotive engineering, electrical, quality assurance. There's other career paths they can choose. And it was very important for the students that we kept them connected to the high school. So, of course, even though they're not on campus the last 3 periods of the day, they are free to join any of our clubs, any of our teams that their grades afford them to be in. So they're still part of our high school community. Here, what we see is that some of the things that they can do. This is what I'm showing you here is with an associate's degree. This is what they can do with an associate's degree. Not even talking BS at this time. And as you can see, the average salary, so they continue on past the certification, that they will also, that they get an associate's degree. This is the level of money, the range of average salary that these students can earn if they continue in that pathway. This is one of my students, and this is Professor Joe. I'm working in the lab with one of the students. This is how I lined up the credits. One of the things in developing the dual enrollment program was I had to get the syllabi from the college. I had to get their course numbers, and I was required to submit course request forms to the curriculum committee, to the assistant superintendent for their approval. And we had to line it up into what content area in high school would be the equivalent. So as you see, these are the courses they would take their junior year. And this is the alignment. They came under tech ed as a tech ed elective. For the seniors, these are the courses that they're taking. And you see the alignment here. With the career awareness, part of that with the students is they begin to help them do the resume writing. They do some mock interviews. They begin to tell them about the career opportunities and try to encourage them to continue on beyond the certificate, to continue on because there's many avenues and many career opportunities they can have. The computer applications is basic keyboarding, and we know in this day of technology, they need to know that. But it's also teaching them, if they haven't done it, how to apply online for jobs, how to do their research for for college beyond their associate's degree. Excuse me. And here you see that upon completion, when they finish the 2 academic years, they'll have 18 credits towards their certification, which is 34. You need 34 to be certified, and then an additional 26 if they decide to continue. One of the things I want to say about the program there, when Elizabeth was talking about stackables, one of the things the students were just given a chance to do was to get an Occupational Safety and Health 10 license or certification. Hopefully we'll be able to afford them OSHA 40. And what this credential will do for them is recognize, of course, nationwide because OSHA is a federal agency, but they began to learn things a lot about safety, about even employment rights, and how to advocate for themselves. And they just recently went through 2 days of full training. I had to give them release time for 2 full Mondays to go for the training. They finished up yesterday, and then they took the federal exam. And so now they have an OSHA 10 certification. Hopefully for the end of the year, we'll be able to get them OSHA 40. These are the type of skill sets that with the certification, they'll have an additional something to put on their resume to make them even more attractive to potential employers. And with regard to these classes here, when we're talking about stackables, these can be applied in particular to the quality assurance jobs, some of the mechanical engineering. These are things that they'll go in with already these skill sets. Another thing that, this is OSHA 10 here, that Housatonic has been doing, they were able to do with 2 students last year, contingent upon a couple of things. They've been trying to link them up with summer employment so they become even more experiential, more relevant, and put them in some summer employment opportunities. They will try to do the same thing again this year, but as they explained, their first priority is they have to place their other students that are the adults. But they do try to give them the exposure for on-the-job training as well. Does anyone have a question about the Housatonic program?
Yeah, just one quick question in terms of the stackable credits, and Elizabeth, this is for you too. Are the credits that they're getting, the dual enrollment credits, can they be transferred to other four-year universities in Connecticut or in Michigan?
For the Housatonic, yes. If they wanted to go particular and continue for a BS in advanced manufacturing, they would enroll in Central Connecticut State University. But these are transferable. They can matriculate to other colleges and take these and go into other like engineering. These is almost like an engineering pathway. Yes.
Yeah, in Michigan, I know there are some that are articulated with four-year colleges, but I don't know which ones specifically.
Okay.
Mark, I had a question for you. Is it hard to get girls interested in the manufacturing pathway?
Actually, our inaugural class, which are now seniors, we had one young lady, and she was one of our stars, but personal issues came up, and so she didn't. This year, we have, I thought I sent the numbers. I think it's up here. I have it here. Well, we have 5 girls. And they love it. They really, and that's interesting because I have a friend that works at Yale in the engineering. They're always trying to recruit the young ladies. The young ladies are doing extremely well. They've already signed, because I did a compact, which I was going to talk about. We did a compact agreement with students and parents. It's called the College Connection Creed, which stipulated the standards of expectation, behavioral, and academics. You know, they needed to maintain their GPA, they needed assistance, they needed to ask for assistance, and so forth. So as we plan going into, so my first cohort, parents had to sign a compact that they were agreeing with us that their students would come back for the senior year. Already, we had an open house a couple of weeks ago. Already, the students are juniors. This year, we'll go for a second year. Already, everyone said they're coming back, in particular our girls. Our young ladies are doing really well, really well. They like it. They have an aptitude for it, and they have an interest in it, yes. Is there any other questions about Housatonic? Okay. Now I'll start with our newest one. Our newest one is a partnership with St. Vincent's College. St. Vincent's College is located at the St. Vincent's Hospital campus. They sought us out. They recruited us, came to Bridgeport, and they wanted to, under Dr. Gargano, they wanted to develop a partnership in the healthcare career. Again, we all see the national news. We know there's shortage in many areas in the healthcare profession, in particular in nursing. So they came to us, and this was quite interesting for me, because when we met, they wanted 9th graders. I've been teaching since 1982. I thought 9th graders, that's going to be a challenge. They're pretty immature. But their vision was a 4-year vision. So once we began to explain the vision, I saw why we need to start in 9th grade. So we enrolled 18 9th graders into the program. And this is a little bit about St. Vincent's. It's a private institution. Tells you, what they offer there. They have programs, and our children can continue in those programs as well. So we did 18 rising freshmen. If you look at the numbers, you would say, might be surprised that we have more males than we do females. But that's where the interest was. The way I went about getting those students, having never seen them, not knowing them, they're rising freshmen from, we have 5 feeder middle schools, is that with the assistance of my principal, we did a lot of outreach to the homes. We sent flyers, and then we had an assembly. We had an open house where the Dr. Gargano and Dr. Barnett, various staffing from the college came, met, we sent out flyers, we talked and answered questions. And those who were interested gave us to fill out an application. And so this is how we ended up choosing them. I want to show you that this year we have 18, and St. Vincent is still committed to us. They are going to be engaging a parochial school to get some rising freshmen from them, but they have a commitment to us to continue this partnership, and they're going to be enrolling 10 more rising freshmen in the cohort for next academic year. Another thing we're able to offer, and you'll see about stackables later on, this is just the beginning. We also did a program in Continue Ed with 2 juniors and 2 seniors. So these students, after school, 2 days a week, they went to school from 5 to 9 o'clock and all day Saturday from 7 a.m. in the morning to 2. What Saturday was their clinical experience. They did classrooms 2 days a week, and on Saturday from 7 to 2, they would go to the nursing home or the facility, and that's where they had their clinical experience. They have since graduated and passed the exam, and they're going to be graduating. There's going to be a graduation ceremony. So these young ladies and 2 of the young ladies are going to continue on into the next level after CNA. So we started with 18. We now have 17. One of the students' parents put him in a charter school. So that's why we don't have him. So again, I did a similar thing, same type of flyer. It worked for me before. I did the same thing. The difference, of course, is some information, you know, about how we're going to proceed, what the partnership was about. And as you can see, I did that over the summer. I did my recruitment over the summer. So these are the programs that the students can become certified in over the next 4 years. And they can choose their own pathway. They're allowed to choose their own pathway. And whichever the pathway they want, we will give it to them. So the one certification is a CNA, which my other 2 juniors and 2 seniors have already finished. And that's basically the skill sets, we'll talk later on, where their potential career pathway or employability will be. From that, you can go from CNA. Once you're certified there, you can become a PCT. PCTs are not so new, but haven't been around more than about 10 or so years. And that's a little bit more advanced training. They'll learn more about it. They do phlebotomy, EKGs, and a few different things. Another pathway, and by the way, these 2 pathways, when they're certified in the state of Connecticut, they can be employed as soon as they pass their certification. As soon, 16, 17, they don't have to wait to graduate to be gainfully employed in either of these. The next one they can do is pharmacist technician. Of course, it's a little bit more complicated. You've seen a lot of pharmacist technician pharmacies nowadays because the research is saying many people are not becoming pharmacists anymore. So there's a shortage. So this skill set, this type of training evolved from that shortage. The difference between this one is that while students may take the classes, they cannot become a pharmacist technician until the age of 18. That is pretty much the standard nationwide. Some states deviate a little bit, but pretty much nationwide, you have to be 18. And they take a national exam. These are basically, there's like state exams, but St. Vincent's uses a testing center out of ETS. So if they don't, St. Vincent's does not administer any of these assessments. They have a testing center administer them. The next one, which is usually a spin-off of the CNA or PCT, is a CHA, or it can be called a lay navigator. This person serves as a liaison, basically for patients and healthcare providers. And so they can spin off any of these. So these are the 4 pathways that students are allowed to decide. And they will not, well, they may decide before, but they will not start these courses until junior. Freshman and sophomore year are there getting the foundational academics they need to get them to the next level, to catapult to the next level. These are my students. They were getting a tour. They're in the operating room. So, again, just basically, frequently asked questions. It talked about, how we did the application. They have a similar schedule. In fact, we use one bus to transport both sets of college students. They also are here on campus, basic, 4 periods a day. They eat, and then they go to St. Vincent's for the remainder of the day. The breakdown of credits is just a little bit different. They stay with us for their core content areas. And then they go to, initially we thought they'd get 30 points, as Housatonic students are, but when they were working with the curriculum committee, it kind of jived a little bit different. So initially, when we started, it was 30 points. But it's since been a minute that they're getting 5 points a semester. Because one of the reasons for that being is that they're focusing only on the one, where if you notice at St. Vincent's, they take a group of courses. They take a lot of classes. Each time at St. Vincent's, they're only taking one subject per semester. One subject per semester. So they're going to be awarded their credits. In each college course, there's 3 college credits. I didn't mention at St. Vincent's, some of the college courses are as little as 1, some are 2, and some are 3. But all the courses at St. Vincent's, for their college transcript, they all are 3-point classes. Excuse me, I had to get a drink of water. The first cohort, they're anticipated to graduate in 2020, and they'll have their high school diploma, and they will have 24 college credits. And we went over here the courses that they are being exposed to, the career opportunities. And again, they can continue to go, towards associate's, bachelor's degree, or higher, however far they want to go with their academic career. Any questions? Okay. So as we looked, I did some research. As we looked at the pathways. If they become a CNA in the state of Connecticut, the states are different. In the state of Connecticut, CNAs can only work in these type of facilities. They're not allowed to work in hospitals. However, PCTs can. PCTs, because they have the additional level of training, they are licensed, certified to work in hospital facilities or nursing homes. CNAs, again, if you remember, I said they're the liaison. That's why one of the titles is lay navigator. They're the liaison for a lot of community health centers or, outpatient centers or things of that nature. So this is about what they would make. And pharmacist technicians, this is about the average, but what they're making. I was told when we were doing the recruitment that some of the pharmacist technicians, depending upon whatever, because at retail will be CVS, Walgreens, Rite Aid, compounding pharmacies, they will be trained in that as well. There's where they tend to do more custom made pharmaceuticals, something specific for the patient. Hospital pharmacy and nursing home. I want to tell you a little bit about this. They will have hands-on in everything. With the pharmacist technician, while they're in the classes, they will get the experience. They will do hospital pharmacy. They'll have their clinical experience be there, and they will get them some clinical experience in a retail pharmacy. Same thing with all of these. They will, when they get to patient care technician, they will go on the floor of the hospital. So they have classroom and they have clinical experience. And so these are different areas, job opportunities, and the amount of money, average salary, nationwide that people would make if they in these career paths. This is how the courses work, and this took a little bit of time. So anyone developing it, one of the things I say, it takes a lot of time to get these enrollments together because it's always the alignment of high school and in college, alignment of time, alignment of curriculum. And so this is what we did. So last semester, our students first did keyboard and word processing. Here they're going to be getting credits for a business elective. This semester that they're in now, they're doing medical terminology. I forgot how many thousands of words they're learning. That's a science elective. And it kind of goes on self-explanatory. If you notice, I have here 11th grade. This is when they choose their pathways. They choose the path that they're going to go to, and then it goes down. They also, with regard to the lay navigator and the PCTs, they particularly have to take these classes. If they don't take it here, they will take it down here somewhere because, of course, thinking in terms of the lay navigator and the PCT in particular, they're doing a lot of patient interaction with the public, interaction with other healthcare professionals. And this is a broad, classes to help them understand, relationships and cultural diversity. So this is how they take that. Any questions? So go ahead.
Can I ask a question? Why was it they thought it was important to start in the 9th grade?
Oh, because of the pathways. Because it's going to take 4 years to get them here. Because they only offer one course each semester.
Oh, okay.
And so they need foundational. One of the things I'm not sure if I put on a slide that we did a little bit different. In the city of Bridgeport, and pretty much the state of Connecticut, biology is a sophomore class. But in order to prepare the students for these classes, with what they would be taking sophomore, the students took biology as a freshman. And biology is a very challenging class because there's 4,000 words that they're exposed to. So it has been a little challenging for the ninth graders, but they're doing okay. And if they need remediation or support, we will provide it. But they were taking, because normally ninth graders would take physical science. But this cohort of students needed to take biology because, as you see, what they start taking later their sophomore year. I did want to mention that, again, about because those are talking about the stackables. As you saw the career pathway, one career can lead to another career, but also with regard to some of the course offerings that we offer at BASIC for the students, because we are doing a 2-week intensive summer program every year. Students will be in school from 8 to 2:30 to help them continue to maintain their credits. The course offerings we're going to offer them that relate to healthcare profession is one is called scientific literacy. They'll do that 1 year. Another one is environmental health. And the students also will be doing 50 hours of community service. And that, again, is because we think in terms of healthcare careers, the community service in this community, giving back, interacting with other people in the community, and getting a sensitivity to the needs of people. So they'll also be doing community service. All this is just continues to build and fortify the skill sets and academics that they're getting over at the college. So what I found was some challenges, and I recently was reading an article. It's called A Guide to Launching and Expanding Dual Enrollment Programs for Historically Undeserved Students in California. What they said, and you can look it up, I can send the link. In California, they found some of the same challenges that I was experiencing. And one of them was retention rate. And they talked about the students also were a transient population. As you can see, when we lost some students, some of them were because they moved away. In Bridgeport, they're pretty transient. So sometimes they move out of our district, sometimes they move to another zone. So one of the things that I would like to have the conversation about is how do we, if they move, they stay within our community, within our city, how can they still afford that child the opportunity to stay in the college? So that's a little blitz I think we need to work out, because if a student moves to another side of town, I still want them here to go to St. Vincent's. I still want them here to go to Housatonic. The way it stands now is we don't have the facilities or the resources to take a bus to go all the other side of town to pick up a child to bring them. So that's one of my concerns. The other thing was resources. For the first 2 years, students didn't have money. Most of them didn't. And to go into the lab, you have to have boots. So BASIC bought them boots. And some might say, and I know we were told to have students and family put skin in the game, but for a lot of our children, I'm not being funny, but there's no skin to give. They don't have the revenue. They don't have the resources to buy the books. So I'm already thinking in my mind about some way of getting some of our local communities, especially companies that would use these students as a potential workforce. You know, being educated for employability, for like a Sikorsky or some of our other companies right here. Maybe they might consider saying, okay, we'll fund, we will underwrite. You know, we'll underwrite some of these expenses. But everything else, like the college has been providing a lot of things for the students that they normally couldn't. For the second semester class, a whole lot of people contributed to, besides BASIC, to getting the students the supplies they needed for the medical terminology class. Again, the letter went out. We solicited the parents. We asked, help what you can, but really most couldn't. So we have a problem with, you know, being able to supply, parents being able to supply the things that students need. And by the way, so any suggestion anyone has, make sure you get my email and shoot something to me, something that's been tried before, or a suggestion. I certainly will entertain it and try to see if I can fit into our program. This kind of goes with the revenue thing. We pay for the buses to and from and the bus passes. And it's been underwritten in large part by grants, partly Perkins grant, the grant that we have through STEM. But my concern is how long can we sustain that? I, again, will look into partnerships, seeing someone will partner with us and just underwrite that. St. Vincent's is doing this free. St. Vincent's College is paying for everything, and it's about $3,000 a class. So St. Vincent's has made a commitment to 2020. Well, in this case, we'll get another new cohort, but we know at least in 2020 to pay for all the college classes. If that was on us, that'd be expensive. But again, if we want to sustain it, the challenge is that how do we sustain it? And I think it's going to be with partnerships. I think it's absolutely going to be with partnerships. Some of the things I think on why I really was very excited when Dr. Johnson and Fran first mentioned the ATC was because of the opportunity afforded to the students. This is an extremely poor community, extremely poor city, has been noted as one of the poorest cities in the nation since at least 1999, 2000. But what happened here is when parents found out, it was so exciting because many of our students are first-generation high school graduates. Most are going to be first-generation college students. A lot of students are immigrants. And one student even asked me, especially with the new administration, came and asked me, am I going to be able to stay in the program if I'm, she called herself illegal. I don't like the term. She said, but I'm illegal. Do I have to get out of this program? I said, no, you don't. You get to stay in this program. Another thing is the pride as a student. When I have to make announcements, here we call them our college students. College students, a sense of pride and accomplishment, which is then transferred to their families. It really has been one of my most joyous moments just to see them when they talk about it. They all have college IDs. It was a time they have college bus passes. The sense of pride is awesome. Of course, they're earning the college credits. And I like the fact that they have, boots on the ground. They're interfacing at St. Vincent's College. They're on the same floor as the other nursing and the radiology students. They're on the same floor with other males and females of college-age adults. They're interfacing with them when they go into the lounge. Excuse me. When they go into the lounge or cafeteria, anywhere, they are with adults. So experiencing the campus life. Same thing at Housatonic. And then the part that I also am very excited about for them is, as we know, a lot of incoming freshmen in college struggle. They struggle with the rigor. They struggle with the cadence of getting assignments in at the appropriate time. They struggle with looking at a syllabus and saying, okay, what do I do next? What do I do next? These students get a syllabus. They know what's expected, and they are meeting the challenge. So they're going to have a leg up when they graduate high school, whether they go to a local community college or four-year college, wherever they go, they will understand the momentum and cadence and academic rigor. Because this is not a watered-down curriculum. It's the exact same curriculum that every college student is experiencing at the college campus. So I find that very exciting for them. I want to tell you that at the St. Vincent's program, we have 2 students with an IEP. I've sat in on their PPTs as the administrator. They're doing well. At the college, they do know if there's any accommodations. They do make the accommodations. So we did not deselect if you had a special need. If you wanted it, you were able to go. We have 1 student left at Housatonic with an IEP. So having diverse learning styles and learning rate there, having this experience for them, I'm excited for the opportunity for them. So I think basically I don't have anything. I'm looking at my notes. I don't think I have anything else I wanted to say other than it's been a good experience, and I think that it motivates even our students that are on the college campus because we talk about it. Have assemblies, and I'm a senior class principal, so even my senior students already are asking me, is there anything for them? Is there anything for them? And certainly the upcoming the juniors that are going to be rising seniors are asking as well, will there be more classes at Housatonic? Or why is it only the 9th graders that can go to St. Vincent's? So I think it was a great experience. I will say it takes time. It takes building of relationships. It takes time because you have to make sure we align everything together, but it's time well invested. I would do it again because I think that we're building the future. And I think that these students will appreciate it. I think they will be positive members of our community. Does anyone have a question?
That was fantastic. Elizabeth, would you like to close out?
Just want to thank everybody for joining us, and to say how much I appreciate what Marjorie and her colleagues have done. You know, there's a lot of, it can be extra challenging to work in a community where there's a lot of poverty, and they've really done some great things. The other thing I wanted to mention is, you know, in developing pathways, you know, sometimes you can have like a cohort the way they have in Bridgeport, but you can also have, you know, once a pathway is established, you don't necessarily have to be creating separate courses or anything like that. You know, it can be really a matter of making sure that students are going through like a logical sequence of courses that are already available. So, you know, there are different ways of doing it, and I think, you know, people will adapt it to their own needs. If there aren't any final questions from anybody out there? Well, thanks so much for joining us. It was great spending the end of the day with you.
And I want to thank you as well, and thank you for the opportunity to speak with you. And it is absolutely a privilege to work with these young people. Absolutely.
Great. Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Take care. Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.